Hello there. Well, here I am in my new apartment, not too far from the Tatsumi ice rink, which will be opened apparently in July. It's just like a couple minute run down the road here. I can see outside the window here the Tokyo Aquatic Center, which was an Olympic facility. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that new ice rink opening. It'll be 2 sheets. It's a beautiful building. Maybe I'll take a picture of it and use it as my thumbnail. Yeah, so in the news, apparently the Russian athletes are going to be allowed to compete in the Olympics next year, and that's good news. In my opinion, they should never have been excluded in the first place, and I don't think that politics and sports should really be related to one another. They should be quite separate, just the way religion and politics, or government and religion, are separation of church and state. I think also sports and politics, there's no place for politics and sports. Certainly in the case of the Russian athletes, they're not guilty of any kind of like fomenting of conflict. I mean, you've got this conflict between Putin and Zelensky, and the Russian athletes are kind of caught in the middle of it. And in my opinion, there's no reason why they should be punished, for the political situation between these two regimes. So that's my take on the matter. And in fact, where I'm coming from on the matter goes a little bit beyond that. I don't personally think that a skater or an athlete should even be required to represent a country. I don't know, maybe if a country supports an athlete, then it's reasonable for that country to expect the athlete to represent the country. But, well, in my case, I was born in Calgary, and I've lived in Germany, and I live now in Tokyo, and I lived in the United States, and I don't really have a connection to a country. I'm not nationalistic. I consider nationalism actually to be a type of prejudice. We're all people, we're all individuals, and I think we would all be much better off if we weren't divided into categories, and particularly nationalism, jingoism, I think is rather pernicious and unnecessary. It would certainly be better in a World Championships or an Olympics to have the very best athletes in the world competing in those events, rather than, a few of the best ones are there, but it's not like it's the top 20 athletes in the world in a particular competition, because you've got to separate athletes into their countries, and often, obviously, an athlete from a particular country that's not so strong will be competing in the event, and they're not really so competitive or really among that elite group of people. There's been some steps taken in that to correct that problem. Yeah, you have to get a certain number of points to compete in Worlds and Olympics, I guess. But to me, we'd be much better off without being nationalistic. And in my case, I have to represent some country when I compete in an adult competition. And I would prefer not to do that. Why should I represent a country? There's no country that does anything for me. I'm an individual. I practice in various different locations. I travel around. I don't really have any particular affiliation or national pride. I'm not only an expat, but I don't have in my heart any recognition of a particular country. And, particularly since through the years, if I added up all the time and energy and money that I've spent getting permission from various countries to travel, to exercise my basic human right to travel, to earn my living and to travel, it's just unbelievable. The passports and the visas and on and on and on, and standing in lines and being interrogated. And I just think it's so unfortunate, the red tape and the bureaucracy that we're subjected to in the name of nations, which are just kind of like artificial geographical lines around the world that change periodically through the ages, and governments come and go, and and nations don't represent, people from a very particular nation might speak several different languages, that culture might be, different. The national boundaries don't always coincide with language or cultural differences. So cultures are split up into two different countries. And, people who speak the same language in a particular region, they have kind of like a special relationship to one another. I'm not going to deny that, but to separate everybody into nations, I think is quite wrong. So I'm glad to see actually that the Russian athletes will be allowed to compete in the Olympics and Worlds, and I think that'll be best for the sport and for everybody, because it's kind of unfair to them that they've been excluded, and it's really unfair to figure skating in general, to the sport, that we haven't had the benefit of having those Russian athletes compete in championships. They're obviously very competent and very high level, and they have a lot of depth in Russia, and their training methods are excellent, and they're really serious competitors and achievers. So to exclude them from competitions, I think has been quite unfortunate. And good for you, to the ISU, for bringing them back. And that's about all I have to say for today. It's something to consider. It's something to ponder. It's very difficult actually to overcome nationalism, to overcome national pride. And there have been incidences recently, even though I talk like I'm not really nationalistic, there have been instances where I've recognized certain things that have gone on in Canada that I've been quite proud of. So even though I kind of really don't believe in that in an intellectual, from an intellectual perspective, it's something that's been kind of ingrained into our psyche from an early age. Nationalism, national anthem, the flag, the government, people, geography. No, I think it's a global community, and it's becoming more of a global community. We have communication so easy now with the internet all around the world. Things are becoming much more connected globally. So I think the concept of nation state should be reviewed, looked at, and overcome. So that's your little food for thought from Gary Beacom on the Moves News. for this late December day in 2024. Bye for now. Enjoy the rest of your day.